would like to start with introducing roles first timer. Last minute us. Welcome to the stage.
Yes, good evening everybody. Tonight I will be the timer because we consider time to be of the essence. Even in jokes. That was a good joke yet. Yes. I prepared some jokes but none about time. So you have to give it a second then I will pick my jokes. Anyhow, there is a specific time for each and every element of the evening. I will time it. I will show the green part when you are at a minimum allotted time. The yellow or amber card when you are more or less in the middle of your allotted time. The red card when you are at the end of your time. Then you have 30 seconds which you contest or participate in the contest. No grammarian here, but that's the better phrasing. Would you participate in the contest 30 seconds after the red and you are disqualified. So it indicates from you better finish your speech. At the end of the meeting, I will report back to the Toastmasters.
Thank you. Another very important role, counter. Today Robert is counting our...
Yes, so today's my first role as an counter, so I'll be counting all stammerings like and ends. For example, Els, she said that sometimes she used to say right a lot, so I'll be looking for those as well.
There's a new point in our schedule. Els, I would like to invite you again on the stage. Quizmaster, what is behind this?
Yes. Laughter is the best medicine, but money makes the world go round. So let me start with a little joke. A woman tells her friend, I made my husband a millionaire. The friend says, really? What was your husband before? Yes, a billionaire. Anyhow, why did I introduce the Quizmaster class? Very good to know. I believe that for all the members of Toastmasters, including the guests, it might be good to have slightly more knowledge about Toastmasters, the various aspects of Toastmasters. So I thought I will bring it in the shape of a quiz. There's a question you can answer. I give obviously the right answer if nobody knows it. 3 questions every evening, but before we close the evening, I come back, ask the very same 3 questions, and then we see who has been sleeping, right? Good point there, right? Yes. So, the first question. Can somebody tell me what the half-year membership fee of 010 Toastmaster is in Europe? Not everybody at the same time?
Yes.
75.
70.
Not 75.
And the points go to Jan. It is indeed 75 euro, which means it's €12.50 a month. And I've calculated that's the same as 15,800 liters of tap water.
Is it a good thing?
Or 3.5 days health insurance in the Netherlands. It's relative, right? Whether it's expensive or not. So the second question. The half-year membership runs from which month to which month? You can tell me that one.
Nobody knows that again.
Do you begin in October?
October 2.
May? May.
Yes, October to March or April to September. Very good. That is the answer, so remember that for when I ask it again. Now, the last question.
He has a question.
Green.
Yes. Beside a half-year payment to Toastmasters International, at the minute it's $45, what does the club use the membership money for? Room?
Housing.
I think you both had the main
Pens?
expense.
Paper, this paper thing maybe, I don't know.
The banner is an element, but you buy it only once. It's indeed the rent of this room which is the main part. We do have some money for meter subscription or bank charges, right? But the main element goes to renting this thing. Okay? Right. Can I ask the audience one joke still?
Yes, please.
Oh yes, okay, there it goes. Preacher goes into a church and he's praying, and then he asks God, God, how long does for you 10 million years? How long is that for you? And he says, 1 minute. So he's fine with the answer. Next day, preacher again is praying, and then he comes up with, and God, how much is for you then 1 million euro? And he says, 1 cent. So he combines the two. Next day he says, oh God, please give me one of your cents. And God says, now wait a minute.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting and new part of our meeting. Time for speakers. I would like to invite our president who saved our day. last minute speech. Fred, stage is yours. Welcome, please welcome Fred.
Thank you. Yes. My title, Don't Worry, Be Happy. And who knows the hilarious commercial which combined to that quote? You know this guy who drives a little van on the mountain with CC, with the stripe on the road, and he turns left into the ravine?
Oh yes.
Don't worry, be happy. But this, and the theme is to be positive. Take everything positive. And if you look at things positive in your life, then things can change. For instance, in my personal situation, I had a situation in 2014. I had some health problems, and one time I had to go to the hospital because my youngest kid bumped into me and I went down from pain. I was pale, very pale. It's nothing hilarious, but it was really white, and I had to go to the hospital. And there it was that they said, listen, you have cancer. But I had some other issues in my throat. And it turned out to be I had two different types of cancer at the same time. What can you do in this moment? You can say, okay, my life is over. You give up. Or, like I did, the first half hour, I was in shock, of course. I said, okay, I might going to die. But then I made a decision for myself. I don't let cancer ruin my life. So I laughed at it. And you know the Dutch verb? I had testicle cancer in my throat. And I told him to the doctor, listen, and the Dutch saying, ik vind er geen bal aan. I don't mind, like the bollocks was it. And it's coming out of my throat. And I laughed at it. And luckily enough, because if I had worried all the time. And now I'm clean. So the lesson here is, take the best of it, always, and enjoy life. Don't worry, be happy. Yes.
sharing the story. I was so surprised. I was listening so much into your story that I saw the card, the green. I was like, oh, I felt like 1 minute when it was. And I realized that I forgot to share the word of the day, hilarious, which you used. I would like to invite the second speaker, who always brings a lot of light on the stage. And the title of the speech is Reality, Acceptance and Peanut Butter. Welcome, Anya.
Did any of you experience some changes over the last months? You could raise your hand if you did. Maybe, did you spend more time online? Or did you work on homework? Anyone, please? You know? Did you maybe also your partner and your children also spend more time at home? Things like this. I think most of us did experience some changes indeed because of Corona. And I also experienced some changes. And sometimes it's very hard. I noticed around me that people were kind of struggling with resisting those changes. Is there anyone here that felt they were resisting some of the changes that were happening? Yes. Me too. In the beginning, when the coronavirus just came around, everyone was like, oh, in 2 weeks I will do this, or in a month I will do that, or I'll plan my birthday next week. Because people were really resisting the change. They were really resisting the reality that we have coronavirus and we have no idea how long this will be around and how long this will all last. Why do people resist change? I think it's just in general very hard for people to resist change because it's much easier when things stay the same, and it's also much safer. I also don't like change. My ancestors, they didn't survive because of acquainting unknown animals somewhere in the forest. And I think that as humans, it's very hard to just accept things that are happening like that. And that's why acceptance can play a big role in changing this. Instead of resisting reality, we can also start to focus more on acceptance. And there's also a more, how do you say it? I would say it's extreme, a more radical way of acceptance, which is called radical acceptance. And radical acceptance was used by Marshall Linehan. He uses it in dialectical behavior therapy, which is a special kind of therapy for people with borderline disorder. Because people with borderline disorder, they really have a problem resisting, accepting reality because they really like things to be in their own way. And also there's other psychologists that use radical behavior, radical acceptance to help people deal with life and how life is. Tara Brach, she is a Buddhist and psychologist who also wrote a book about radical acceptance. And actually I tried to find out where radical acceptance came from, but it seems to be very hard. It seems to have its origins in Buddhism, but I had to accept myself that I couldn't discover where radical acceptance actually came from. It's basically a way of accepting life, your own life, and also the people around you and your situation exactly and wholly, completely as it is. So basically no buts, no maybes, no conditions, no judgments. You're not waiting for things to be in another way and to change, not the situation, not someone else. You're really living right now and accepting that things right now are as they are. And an important part of that is also accepting that things are not as you want them to be right now, because life isn't always how you want it to be. So sometimes you have to accept that life at this moment is not as you want it to be. Radical acceptance, sometimes people hear about radical acceptance and they think, oh, but radical acceptance, I'm just giving up on life, just accepting the situation that, disease came on my way, I'm just accepting it. But that's not what radical acceptance is about, absolutely not. Because, yes, you're accepting your current situation. However, it's not like you're just accepting that people mistreat you or that you have a disease or that you have anything. You accept that right now, this is the situation. However, you can always try
working and getting out of your situation. But if you, for instance, get diagnosed with cancer, at that moment, there's no point in resisting and saying, it can't be true. It's impossible. Why me? I'm too young. Why not someone else? I don't deserve this. These are all kind of phrases that you're resisting the reality, and it doesn't help anything, in fact. You first have to accept something, and when you first accept the current reality, then you can start thinking about changing. Because if you don't accept that right now, the reality as it is, you're also less likely to make a change to your situation because you're not realistic about this situation you're in. And also, pain is a part of life. Pain is a signal that something is wrong. If you wouldn't feel a throat pain, you wouldn't realize that you actually have a health problem. And the same is if you feel burnt out. Because I noticed several people very close to me have a burnout right now in the corona time. My brother and my brother-in-law, among others. And actually, basically, a burnout is just your body saying, you went too far. It's basically your body saying that you overextended yourself, you did too much. So always this pain is a part of life. And if you deny that you feel sad or that you feel unhappy or that you feel pain, whatever, if you're denying that, you're only making it worse because you're basically just suppressing the reality of being human, because being human is not only happy, even though I think nowadays in modern society there's this positivity cult and everything has to be fantastic and beautiful and rainbows and unicorns, but life isn't always like that. So this positivity cult really takes part of our human experience. If we just have to smile and someone comes up to me and they tell me, how are you doing, Anja? And I say, it's just one of those days. And they're like, oh, but come on, it will be okay, it's all fine, life is great, come on, you see the sunshine. That is not actually, that's kind of denying part of our human experience. And Jim Morrison has a very beautiful poem about this. I won't tell you the whole poem because it would be like the half of my speech. But one important sentence is, that I found the most profound and that I never forgot is, we should stand up for a right to feel our pain. And I think that's part of radical acceptance as well. It's only a part of radical acceptance. Now it seems it's all about accepting the pain, but it's just part of radical acceptance. I think for me, there are several steps in using radical acceptance in my life. And the first step that I did when I discovered radical acceptance, the first step that anyone has to do before letting radical acceptance in their life, is that you have to basically accept that you're resisting reality. That's the first step to accepting reality. You have to first understand, am I always feeling hateful about the current situation? Do I want other people to change instead of me? Am I waiting for something to happen, like in this corona situation? I heard so many people in the beginning say they're not doing something and they're just waiting until corona is over. I still hear people. I still heard one of my colleagues say, yeah, until corona is over, then this and this. But is this helpful? No. So if you resist that reality is not this case, for instance, my pathway. I chose the humorous speaking pathway. And I think it's a horrible pathway because I'm very happy that you didn't. But most people, when I did 15 speeches or 20 speeches maybe in this whole pathway, every time, normally when people call me on stage, they tell me, Anja's doing the humorous speaking pathway. And everyone is just expecting me to tell jokes all the time. So if you are not naturally very funny, maybe don't do the humorous speaking pathway. Because I just decided to radically accept it. I'm finishing my pathway. I add some jokes to my speeches. But after this pathway, I won't do a humorous speaking pathway again, ever. I think I realized, I also tried during this pathway some stand-up comedy. No, it's not for me. But still, I accepted my pathway. I kind of use it, and I also just do my own thing within that pathway. That's why this speech isn't just like only funny. The second, yeah, after I first accepted that I'm actually resisting reality, that reality is not how I want it to be, then I chose also that I want to have radical acceptance in my life. Because there's so many areas in which people resist reality. For instance, people resist reality when it comes to evolution, when it comes to climate change, when it comes to germ theory. There's actually a lot of people like that at the moment. I don't know why. These people, they say that bacteria or a virus, they don't cause your disease. It's your lifestyle that does. And generally they advise you to either eat only fruits or only animals. And then you will be fine. Or even air. Some people, they know sun. Some people live off sun and they think that's the most healthy because any food you ingest in your body is actually destroying our body because of the anti-something. So yes, there's a lot of people that are resisting reality in this way. And also these people say, science, it's just another belief. So I think you have to be willing to accept radical acceptance. Yes, science is just not a belief. That's what these people think. I think it's important that if you want to use radical acceptance in your life to accept life, then first you have to realize, with anything, as soon as you realize something, you can do something about it. So if you realize that you're resisting reality, that you're not facing the life as it is, and then you start actually applying radical acceptance. And there are several other things that can help also in the process of using radical acceptance in your life. For instance, judgment or letting go of judgment. This is an important part of resisting reality. People generally, their boss is nasty to them and they're like, oh, did I do something wrong? And they start making judgments in their head. Things like that. People are judging all the time. For instance, like my partner, his peanut butter got stolen. Well, he lost his peanut butter. Seriously. And he called me on Monday and he was like, someone stole my peanut butter, horrible people. But what are they doing? Then I called my sister and he was angry the whole morning, complaining that some person must have stolen his peanut butter. And then I called my sister and she said the same thing is happening to me. So yeah, there's no reason in making more judgment about it. Basically what happened is your peanut butter got stolen, yes. You don't have peanut butter anymore. But for the entire morning he was thinking about why someone would have done that and who it would have been. You know, he was judging in all this way. Instead of just perceiving the fact, and he went through all the cupboards, he went through the garbage to find his peanut butter, but the peanut butter was gone. So in this case, just accept the fact that your peanut butter is gone. It doesn't always have to be big things, you know. Yes, there's big things in life that you have to accept, but there's also small things, and you don't have to let your day be ruined by things like that. And something else that is very important in radical acceptance is making a distinction between things you can't and things that you can change. And what are things, for instance, that you would think you can't change? Do you have any idea? Things that you can change in your life?
Can or can't?
Can't.
Economy.
Economy, yes.
Your mom and dad.
Your mom and dad, yes. I think that's important. People around you, your family. Yes.
Genetics, things you were born with.
Yes, genetics.
I'll just say simple weather.
Yeah, no, that's true, definitely. Weather. For instance, you plan the whole day to go to the beach. Next day, it's been sunny for 3 days. And then the day that you want to go to the beach, it's raining. Yes, it's something you will have to accept. And there's no point in just ruining your day over it. And just not accepting it. Why me? Oh, I'm so unlucky, always with the weather, me. And same as with your genetics. You cannot change it. However, of course, you can do things once you've readily accepted the fact that your genetics are a certain way. I know, for instance, that everyone in my family is very overweight. And I just eat mostly fruits and vegetables, and I'm still like this. But, you know, I won't be any skinnier. But if I would eat the same as my whole family did, then I would also be overweight. So, yes, basically, you have to accept your situation, how it is right now. But of course, things that you can change are how you deal with the fact that your genetics are a certain way, or the weather, because you can change that it is this way, but you can do something else with your friends, go to the cinema, something like that, do something else. So radical acceptance isn't about just accepting things and being like stoic and lying and accepting all the rain and storm. It's really about accepting reality and from there on taking steps to improve your life. And also something that's an important part of reality is, of radical acceptance, is living in the now. Because you can change the current situation as it is, but you can work on improving the situation. You can change that right now it's raining, that you're in a traffic jam, for instance, things like that. But you can, for instance, think, oh, I'm the whole day in a traffic jam, every day again and again, and I can start taking trains, for instance, things like that. You cannot change the right moment, but you can change your perception of the moment right now. And also, if you're not living in the now, you often start thinking about the past or the future. And that is something, definitely the past, it's in the past. Like you say, your family, your parents, your anything that happened to you, even though it might have been bad. You might feel, oh, it's bad that that happened to me. However, just thinking over and over again, I wish that didn't happen to me. If only I would have different parents. If only I had a different partner. If only I didn't marry this asshole, for instance. Then, yes, it doesn't change. It doesn't change the fact that in the past you did this. So actually, radical acceptance is a lot about accepting the past, living in the now. And from living in the now, you can still work on the future. It's not you have to be a Buddhist, but you live from now and you can be a Buddhist. They seem very happy. They seem very happy. I'm still thinking about it, but I don't know. I'm actually going on a silence retreat tomorrow for 5 days. So it's not exactly the Vipassana 10 days. But still, I'm going to live in the now for 5 days. I'm not allowed to have any books, no phone, no anything. We cannot talk to each other. For 5 days, we're just going to sit, meditate, and do yoga. I've never tried it before, so we'll see how I like this. It's completely new, because, yes, I'm crazy. That's basically the case. Yes. So once you learn to judge less and to accept more, and there's one more thing that you have to learn to accept, namely that you're still learning. Because in our society it's so normal to judge, it's normal to resist reality, say I can't, if only, it's not fair. Generally we always blame other people. We blame other people, even though we decide how we react, but we like blaming other people, we like not taking responsibility. So, in this case, it's an important part of radical acceptance is to accept that you're learning, that you're also in a process, and accept yourself. Basically, it's about accepting that you're not perfect. Because, yes, I'm not perfect. For instance, when I see someone walking on the street and they wear a mouth mask like this, I immediately think, what an idiot! Why can't they just cover their whole face like you should do with a mouth mask? Probably I'm right. However, it might still be the case that they have some kind of atypical breathing disease. I don't know, so it's better not to judge. But I'm still learning on this thing. I'm still learning. So yeah, I accept that I'm learning, that I'm not perfect yet. And also, it's important to just keep trying over and over again, to keep accepting reality over and over and over again. That's also an important part of learning radical acceptance, because whether you learn an instrument, whether you learn a new language, or anything basically, you're always learning by doing, whether you train your muscles. And radical acceptance is basically like a muscle, like an acceptance muscle, if there is such a thing, a mental muscle. So by doing it over and over and over again, that is basically how you learn. And there's been a lot of things that I had to accept in my life, except for just the peanut butter being stolen from my partner. I had to accept, for instance, that I won't be a model ever in my life. I have like one head missing. I won't be a prima ballerina, except for in my own living room. Yes. At least I can decide what I am there. I also probably won't win an Olympic medal. Although I must say that table tennis players, they're often also not that young. So I'm still kind of not accepting that yet. And maybe even I won't ever win the International Toastmasters Speaking Championship. Maybe, who knows? It might be something that I have to accept. However, there's also nice things. I became a much better speaker. I've been a member I've been a member of Toastmasters for almost 4 years. And nobody has seen me when I was there, but I can tell you, there's like a world of difference. One of my teammates, group mates, he said that I'm probably one of the people that make the biggest difference over the time that I've been a member. Because when I was just a member, I was always talking like crazy. Couldn't understand a word. I was using us. I was like, it was a mess, my speaking. So I definitely did learn a lot of things. And the same is with the Corona situations. There's good things and there's bad things. It's much better to accept that right now this is the situation. There's people that have to work even harder. There's people that have no work. We have no idea when Corona is always going to end. So we might as well just try to radically accept it and also look at the positive things. For instance, people are discovering the Netherlands as a holiday location. Who would have thought? And also there's personal things that I'm very happy with. There's no weddings. There's no baby showers. There's no unwanted bodily contact. Like seriously, for someone who hates hugs and kisses, this is awesome! Nobody ever tries to hug me. It's great. So maybe for you, this is not typical the case. Maybe for you there's other things, or maybe you only see negatives in this situation. And even if you only see negatives, you might as well better accept this. Because reality, it's here to stay. Resisting it is futile. And instead of embracing each other, we might as well embrace reality.
Thank you very much, Anya. Just to inform our guests, it's not that usually we don't have such long speeches, and it's really advanced, as she said, so usually it's like 5-7 minutes. Thank you very much, and yeah, that's true that we can do much more when we accept the situation, how it is, and plan how to improve it. I think now we can spend 2 minutes on filling the forms which we have for both speeches. I think everyone has it? Yeah? some people finishing. Okay, I think it's time for table topics. I would like to invite Daniel on the stage. Welcome, Daniel.
So first, just to confirm, are there any guests here today, or are we all? Ah, welcome. Yeah. So just to explain a little bit what Toastmasters, well, I would say table topic part is. What I can only say is that it's the most fun part. So please make sure that you join. Otherwise, I think you regret. But if you do join, I think it might be a little bit, I would say, nervous to raise a hand and join. But I can guarantee that afterwards you're gonna really enjoy it, and maybe tonight, even if you're sleeping, you're thinking about it. So that's my guarantee. Okay, so maybe I will start with maybe one or two with some experienced Toastmasters, and show you guys how it works. And maybe later on, it's opportunity for you guys to join. I've thought of 5 topics. It's kind of a little bit, yeah, I would say interesting. Not sure is there any volunteers first. Hopefully someone who really have experience. Yeah. You want that first one? Sure, please. Okay. And name, please.
Berna. My name is Berna.
Berna.
Yeah. Hi.
So let me pick one. So let me pick this one maybe. So someone who looks like not from this planet come up to you and tell you that they find a way to make you live forever. What would you say to him or her? You have 30 seconds to think about it, and then
So someone came to
yeah,
you from another planet?
Yeah, let me repeat.
Yeah.
So someone who looks like not from this planet
Yeah.
come up to you
Yeah.
and tell you that they find a way to make you live forever.
Forever.
Yes. What would you say to him? You have 30 seconds to think and you can start.
Okay, let me make this hilarious. Well, before starting, I would just quick introduce myself. My name is Berna. I'm 22 years old, and I came from the other club, the Dutch speaking club, and this is my first time. Okay, well, if someone came to me and from the other planets, what would I say? First of all, thank you. I need to be polite, of course. And I think I'm dying at that moment. Like I'm not here in this earth anymore. I'm a believer, so I'm in the heaven or in the between choosing, like I go to hell to paradise, and I will ask that person, yeah, was I a good person? I did this to my mom, to my dad, or this was the time I lie a bit about things that was not good. Please, could you forgive me to go to the paradise, and that I can enjoy my glass of wine, which I not can drink here in this world, but maybe after. So I think I will thank them for having me on earth, and thank you for all the experience I got. So I got more wiser to be in earth. I would be thanking God, or I don't know, I believe in God, but I will thank him for everything he gave me. He gave me my mom, he gave my family, and health. And actually, the most thing where I would thank him is that that I have the awareness and that I'm here to not only help myself but other people. Just that's actually the reason why I'm here. Improving my language, improving my way of communication to not only help myself and other people as well, and not seeing people separate but getting united. So not only here but after, if you believe it or not, I respect it of course. But I will also like diversity and paradise. So that's what I would say.
See, it's not difficult. It's kind of becoming already a speech. So, any second volunteers have 4 topics left? And what's her name?
My name is Diana.
Diana. Sure. Sure. Okay. Then are you a member of 010 already?
I am.
Okay, cool. Then I give you this one.
Oh,
You are not.
Hear the message?
You are ambassador for 010 Toastmasters. What would you tell your friends to invite them to be a member as well?
Even better, even better. I told my team members at Data for Development, the company that I also represent, that they can join Toastmasters for free. Because I actually think that Toastmasters, 0 to 10, all the Toastmaster endeavors around the world are wonderful learning opportunities. And I think that everybody should join. I was actually considering to take my oldest son of 8 years to see what we are doing here, because I find it that important. He just asked me, Daddy, where are you going? And I said, to practice my speech. And he was like, what is that about? Well, it's actually the same thing that you are doing at school. You told something about cats, and now I'm doing a random topic. So thank you for this opportunity.
I suddenly feel this club is really quite experienced. Any other? What do you raise your hand? No?
Let me take this one. A friend have been standing you up, so didn't show up for appointment for 3 times. And then he just calling you to cancel again the appointment. What would you say to him in the phone call?
So I actually had this happen to me by a very good friend who normally shows up, but indeed 3 times, not in a row, but for 3 times, he stood me up, very bad excuses. He came around and he took me out for dinner to make it up, and now we meet up again and he doesn't stand me up anymore. But I told him that if he would stand me up for a 4th time, then he stood me up 3 times, I would stop initiating contact. So that really came through to him, and he came around. He saw some logic at the end.
So I have 2 topics left. Anybody wanna try? Okay, sure. Freddy's quite experienced, so let me pick a difficult one. Are you okay with that? So another, I would say, virtual reality, let's say. You found that there's one pill which could make any dream come true. And you need to sell it on the street outside. It's a Silla Schockstraat, I suppose, if I... Yes. So you need to stand in front of the street and then sell the pill. What would you say to people coming by, convince them to sell the pill?
I have to sell it.
Yes, yes, unfortunately, I have to sell it.
Yes. First of all, of course, I would use all my bad talents not to sell the pill. I would sell the opposite. Because if any dream comes true, why should you sell the pill? Why shouldn't you take the pill yourself? So I would sell the pill, but I would overdo it. I would tell everything that people would think, are you nuts? They would call the ambulance to bring me to the hospital, the straitjacket on. A pill that every dream would come true. I would be the most famous dealer in Rotterdam. No. I don't think whatever argument I would use, I would be able to sell. I'm sorry, but afterwards I would took the pill, the day by pill myself, and make my dreams come true.
Very rational decision, by the way. So our second guest, you wanna try?
Applause for our guests. And her name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, yeah, welcome.
Hi.
So this is the last topic I prepared, but it's also interesting one. So let's imagine suddenly when you wake up, you find yourself in a 10-year-old body with the same mind. So what would you say to your friends to convince them that it's still you? 30 seconds.
So I wake up as a 10-year-old and I have the mind as a.
Yeah, you have a 10-year-old body, but
Okay.
you have the same mind. So what would you say to your friends to convince them it's still you?
Okay. Well, I'm convinced. Well, probably my friends could easily recognize my lovely eyes, my big smile, my great taste for food, my colorful dressing. So I would have probably to wear some smaller sizes. And I think they would, the way I walk, I think they would easily recognize me at some point. And but I think in reality it's probably quite difficult. So when I would be still, or I would have to go to school, but I wouldn't really like, would have to listen to my parents, or I would start a big rebellion probably. For me it's probably not easy to imagine. So, but I think for my first time here on stage, thank you now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so,
Thank you, Daniel. Now it's time for evaluations. First evaluation. As his name in Hindi means knowledge and wisdom, I think he has a brilliant you didn't know.
I know.
So Gian, welcome on the stage, and Gian will evaluate Fred.
First of all, Magdalena, I'm really quite shocked that you know that. Thank you. It puts me off a little bit, as you can see. Dear Fred, it was, I think, about 3 weeks ago that you had the opportunity to evaluate me. Now, I'm doing the favor. No, but seriously, Fred, thank you. I always admire your tenacity, the way you just come up here. We had email contact, and you just filled up for somebody else that turned down the speaking slot. So I know that you didn't have that much time to prepare. And I also was a bit amazed to hear that you had this illness. And we talked a little bit, and you also told me that you were really into personal development. And I don't know if it's true, but it seems that the personal development maybe also helped you through this sickness. So I really admire that. The evaluation form asks me 3 questions. What you excelled at, what you might want to work on, and what you can do to challenge yourself. I would like to start with what you excelled at. What was really excellent was your tempo and your pace, actually, the way you were speaking. It was a really natural and quite smooth flow. And you also used vocal variety. It really caught my attention when you lifted your voice and drew all the attention towards you. And I thought you gave a well-rounded speech when you ended with a very positive note. And something that I also really like when you were talking is the way that you use your hand gestures. And you always remind me of my Italian father-in-law. But it's a very positive thing, I mean this seriously. What I noticed was that you, during your speech, you were breathing quite heavily. So you might want to keep that in mind. And what you also do is that you pace around. I observed that you were pacing around a little bit, and it takes away from your speech. So I would like to give that back to you as a tip. And maybe, because I have seen more of your speeches, you might want to challenge yourself just to stand in one spot and to see how that works for you. I'm quite curious to see that, so I would like to challenge you to see how that will work out. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Gian. Now I would like to invite here Fred, our president, who's going Anya.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I know you quite some while since I started. The first visit was, of course, to what to Sprekershaven at that time. I always had humorous speeches at that time. You came up with a smile, a big smile, always. It's very positive, of course. And the topic, your speech, and the way you brought it to being your own critic. Not being humorous. I was thinking about it's not humoristic more, it's more serious. A very serious topic, but a very great story. But that made it humorous. Because being the critic of yourselves, it made it humoristic. So at last it came to the right point. Being humoristic, serious but humoristic. What you may work on is, what I notice, and you are a very excited speaker. I know it myself, and your pace, your speed of talking is blah, 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 blah. You keep on going on. So what I would, you should also make some variation in your speed of talking, and some areas take longer pauses, for instance 2 seconds longer to emphasize the conclusions. And to challenge yourselves, to very great also gestures, but to find more gestures connected to words. Like for instance, we talk about acceptances, about hands to the heart, and you have to about resistance, stop sign. I think this will bring you even more power to your speeches, which I by the way love. And overall, it was a great speech to listen to. So for that, I will thank you. So this relic, and of course, peanut butter stress. That's very fun. So I thank you for your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Now it's time to sum up our evening. I would like to invite our timer, Els.
Yes. Thank you. I must confess, on various occasions I wasn't really in the know, like Anya said. I should have been more clear on that. Nevertheless, I actually see, Robert, you only had 20 seconds for your role. Fred, you did 2 minutes 45. Anya, 21 minutes 30. Bella? Yes. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Very good. Excellent. Jan, 1 minute and 1 second. Robert, 49. So you could try next time to extend it slightly. Fred, 1 minute 16, and our guest, 51 seconds. Well done. Now we go to the evaluators. Jan, 2 minutes 37. And Fred, as far as I could see, 2 minutes 10. I was slightly unfocused. Sorry.
Thank you, Els. Now I'd like to invite our counter, Robert.
So, it was a very good evening for the us and other stammerings. Magdalena, Toastmasters, I counted only 2. Very well. Fred, during your presentation 0. Anya, during your presentation 10, which is really not a lot, considering that you talked so much, so it's very well done. Daniel, during the topics 8, and then the participants of the topics at Berna at 16, Gian 0, Fred 1, Stephanie 3, so great. During the evaluations, Gian, I counted 1, where you were put off by Magdalena. Fred, during your evaluation 5, and Els overall 1 at the end.
Thank you, Robert. Now it's time again the quizzes.
Oh, you have to see who remembers. No? Perhaps it's just too easy. Time too short. So, the first question was, how much is the half-year membership of 010 Toastmaster Club? Everybody? Yeah, are we all passing this one? The second one, what is the period, the half-year period, from when to when?
October, March, April, September.
Very good, very good. And the last question, what do we spend mostly the money on besides paying Toastmasters International their fee? Rent of the venue, okay? Can I ask, do you think that's a nice element to add to the meeting? Yeah? So I continue preparing, just
Maybe
a
you
short
can
thing.
incorporate some pathway tips and
Yeah,
tricks.
absolutely, absolutely. I might have done this one, I hope Fred you don't mind if I proceed. As you heard, October to March, then obviously the new period for payment is coming up. So don't be surprised when you, in the next few days, receive an email asking you to renew your membership.
Thank you all. So the new point of our meetings, I really liked it. That's the end of our meeting. I would like to ask our guest, how did you like the meeting?
It was hilarious. Thank you so much. I'm happy to come back the next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any club business? Always something.
Always something. First of all, for the welcome of our visitors, I think I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed the evening. Also, regarding to new elements, I always welcome new elements, since we're still a growing club, we can experience, because it's all about challenging ourselves. And even if you're not experienced and you fear to stand up here, there's one motto here, it's you have fun up here. It's a learning process here. We need to have a safe environment, and that's what we do by being humorous. Critic, but not burning people down, but lifting people up. Because we are still a new club, and we have this as our advantage at the moment. And be optimistic, look at the positive. Our club is still small, but we have a great volume of talent already in our midst. So that's a thing what I've noticed. And I think if we keep continuing doing this here this way, we will grow fast, and we pull everyone with us who wants to. And it's all about participation. And yes, it's all about making mistakes, because it's not that you make mistakes, no, it's the lessons you learn from those mistakes will make you grow faster. So that's for that I want to conclude this evening, and thank you all for your participation. See you all next time.